Chocolate Kisses. Written by Drew Grimm. Read by Drew Grimm. Thomas bent over and heaved everything in his stomach. It wasn't the blood splatter or the sound of his father's skull crushing that got to him. It was the tiny bit of brain matter that managed to smack him in the face from afar. Lucy was the only one who managed to scream. Everyone else turned ghost white and watched as George made a queer smile and slumped forward, falling flat on his face. June stood tall and breathed hard as she held the battle axe in both hands, smiling from ear to ear as black goo ran from her mouth. Her eyes seemed wild and unfocused. Then she spoke.
"I love you more than chocolate."
Lucy's mom, Beth, slowly approached June with her hands out. Now she was baby-talking the old woman. "Mother, there has been an accident. We need you to get to the hospital. Please come with us so we c—" June's eyes seemed to come to focus once more. She slightly turned to Beth, still showing a grin that was too big for her face. When Beth was close enough to slowly reach out, June narrowed her eyes and let out a blood-curdling scream. The old woman and matriarch of the Hershey family began to spin in a circle like she was performing a discus throw. On the second spin, she swung the axe directly into Beth's stomach with a hard thud that sounded wet. Thomas watched as his mother stumbled backward, clutching her stomach. She finally fell backwards, hitting her head hard against the floor, with the axe still in her belly. Now the room was alive with screams and shouts, with Thomas's uncle finally trying to take charge. "Someone get some help in here, and for God's sake, don't let Mother grab another Before Uncle Stewart could finish, June leapt onto the couch and flew across the room to the bookshelf. She reached for a thick, red edition of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and pulled it halfway out. When she did, red lights began to flash in all the rooms on the estate. This was followed by alarm sounds and bolts clanking tight on the windows and doors. "Good God, what's happening?" "She's triggered the security alarm." "Good God, we need to get Beth and George help. She's moving again. Someone grab her." June leapt onto the couch again, showing the balance of a cat. Still smiling and drooling black chocolate spittle, she tilted her head back and shouted at the top of her lungs,
"Attila, find Mommy!"
Attila was June's 200-pound Saint Bernard. The sound of him rushing into the living room was scary enough to make everyone take their eyes from June and turn to the slobbering, massive breed as he happily rushed to his mother's aid. June had cloned Attila twice now, with this incarnation being the biggest and most obedient of all. Most interesting was a peculiar trick June had managed to teach this version of the original. Pointing at her slumped-over daughter-in-law, June shouted an order.
"Attila, fetch Beth."
The Saint Bernard snapped into action and grabbed Beth by her ankle while she was still moaning and dragged her to June, who now stood in front of the family, smiling more than ever. June grabbed the axe and pulled it from Beth's stomach with a disgusting sucking sound. One of Thomas's cousins was brave enough to come forward and try to intervene, only for Attila to snap at him and send him scurrying back into the terrified crowd. June bent down and kissed Beth on the top of her head. She then swung the axe high and brought it down with tremendous force into Beth's face. The room came alive again, with everyone screaming and fleeing in every direction. Thomas managed to grab Lucy and started to yank her with him. "Come on, goddammit!" The two siblings stumbled together among the chaos and tried to make their way to the library again.
"Attila, fetch steward."
"Oh, God. No! No, get off me!" Thomas reached for the sliding doors of the library, but couldn't manage to open them. "Fuck me. The doors are locked."
"Attila, fetch Amy."
"Get away from me. No! No!" Lucy emptied her purse on the floor and scrambled to find her pepper spray. Thomas began to punch the door and kicked it while cursing.
"Attila, fetch Raymond."
"No. Get off me, you mutt! Get off now!" Thomas slumped to the floor, exhausted from pounding on the door. Lucy sat beside him, shaking as she held a small can of pepper spray in front of her. The siblings listened as the sounds of carnage unfolded in the background. Family members were scrambling around, pounding on windows and doors that were bolted shut from the alarm system. Flashing red lights still lit up the hallway and every room on the estate, and the screams of family members being dragged to their gruesome death. Thomas looked over at Lucy, and both siblings seemed to accept their twisted fate. "When you were a baby, I would sneak into your room and burn your feet with a lighter," Thomas said with a soft smirk showing on his face.
"I'm the one who suggested to Mother we donate your toy collection to Goodwill."
"You bitch! I'm the one who threw all your dolls in the fireplace on Christmas Eve."
"I burned all your acceptance letters to college, your senior year."
"You cunt! I knew I was good enough to get into Brown."
"I also learned your handwriting and wrote the confession letter to your whore fiancé in Sweden."
Thomas's face grew red with anger, and he began to choke Lucy as she pepper sprayed him in the face. The brother and sister rolled around on the floor, cussing each other as Thomas tried to choke her to death. "You goddamn bitch. I fucking hate you so much. You're gonna fucking die before me. I know that for sure."
"Attila, fetch Thomas."
Thomas heard the dog charging down the hallway and managed to spin around before Attila bit down hard on his ankle, breaking it. As the dog dragged Thomas away, he screamed and clawed at the floor like the woman he was. Lucy's windpipe was broken, and she was still choking slowly, even without Thomas on top of her. But she still managed to flip him off as he disappeared from the hallway.